Triple your reading speed and triple your comprehension. These are the promises that are made by Jim Kwik on his online speed reading course. I'm going to test it out. So Jim promises that I can triple my reading speed and comprehension in 21 days. After 21 days, I'll test that by reading this book here, Stealth War by Robert Spalding. The book that I'm practicing with is George Orwell's Animal Farm, which is a brilliant read for those who haven't read it already. And the first day was about establishing our baseline for how fast we read. Now, I got introduced to Jim Kwik through Michaela Peterson's podcast, and I thought his ideas were very fascinating. And I picked up a few of the speed reading techniques already. So what I wanted to do was just have a baseline with no speed reading techniques, and this came to about 260 words per minute. However, I have heard and experimented myself that using a pointer and guiding this across your page can increase your reading speed. And so I've been using a pointer for a year or two, and this does help. And I read at about 300 words per minute with a pointer. The first thing that I recognized with Jim Kwik is how good his persuasion skills are. If you've studied persuasion at all, you would be able to pick up on some of the techniques that he uses, which means if you're a good persuader, you're a good communicator, and you're a good marketer. So Jim Kwik does promise to, remember, triple my reading speed, which will be around 780 to 900 words per minute. That seems like an insane amount. I'm not sure how well that's going to go. But the other thing that he does is he promises to triple my comprehension. Now, words per minute is really, really easy to measure. Comprehension is a little bit more difficult. How do you measure comprehension? I'm sure you could measure comprehension if you're in some sort of lab and you have a proper experiment to do so. But for the average person, this is just a subjective feeling. Anyway, this is the first day. I'll check back in a week's time and see how much I've improved. So the first week has gone by, and to be honest, it's a little underwhelming so far. Everything that I have been taught over the last 7 days can all be found on YouTube. When I came into this course, I was prepared to put all previous knowledge of speed reading aside so that I could start from scratch. So although it's been a little underwhelming so far, I increased my reading speed to 750 words per minute, which is, as promised, more than triple my initial starting rate. However, my comprehension went out the window. I wasn't comprehending anything that I was reading, and I sort of got the gist of what was going on, but that's only because I have read Animal Farm previously. And I realized I chose quite a short novel, so Animal Farm is I think about 90 to 100 pages, and I'm probably about halfway through it or so. I need another book to practice on. The book that I have chosen is No Place to Hide by Glenn Greenwald. It is recommended to go through a fiction book while doing the speed reading course, but I figured if I want to help my comprehension, I should be going through a non-fiction book like this. The numbers for day 7 is 440 words per minute. Compared to the very beginning, my comprehension is probably about 80% of what it was. So my speed has certainly gone up quite a lot, and my comprehension has gone down just a little bit. So far it seems like a pretty good trade-off. Anyway, I'll talk to you again in a week's time. All right, welcome back. Second week into the course, and I'm feeling good about it. So the main thing that I was very skeptical on was the comprehension, not only because it's hard to measure and it's quite subjective, but I also just didn't really believe that the faster you read, the better your comprehension can become. However, my comprehension has definitely increased along with my reading speed as well, or at least I feel that my comprehension has increased. So the second week has come along and there's a lot more new techniques and things that I weren't aware of, which I have learned. I won't share all of the techniques because obviously I think that would be a little bit unfair. One of the techniques that I have improved on is the removal of subfocalization, which is just that little voice in your head that reads back to you every word that you read. One of the things that we've been doing are some speed reading drills, and these can get really intense. But I do find that afterwards my reading speed has increased. So in my spare time, I am still reading Glenn Greenwald's No Place to Hide. However, I am still practicing on George Orwell's Animal Farm, just because this one is a little bit too intense when it comes to the amount of information that you're given. And this is a really nice, easy narrative to follow. And finally, what you've been waiting for are my words per minute. So I have managed to get it up to 420 words per minute with a, what would you say, a pretty good comprehension. Much better than what it was last week. Yesterday I got it up to 450, so I think I'm sitting around the mid to low 400 range. So although my reading speed hasn't increased since last week, my comprehension has. And that is exactly what he said that we would be concentrating on this week. So I'm still a little bit skeptical if we can get triple my reading speed in comprehension, but I am rather excited and optimistic for the next week. So I'll tell you how that goes in a moment. Alright, so you'll be glad to know that I finished Stealth War in one sitting. I've never finished a book in one day, and I was able to do it. So it took me just over 4 hours to complete, and I am super happy with that. And it's just good to know that it's something that I can accomplish if I want to. Now let's talk about the course. So the final week of Jim Kwik's speed reading course was nothing to do with speed reading. I mean, a little bit, but it wasn't, the focus was more on building life skills rather than speed reading skills. And in his defense, Jim Kwik is more than just a speed reading coach. He's more of a life hack sort of coach, increasing productivity. So this was about like habit development and a few other bits and pieces. At the end of the 21 days, the speed at which I read hadn't actually increased too much since the beginning. So I think I ended up on about 400 words per minute, which I know is less than last week, but also it fluctuates as well. So it sort of goes up and down. One day it was 470 words per minute. Another day it was 430. So I think I'm around the mid to low 400 range. And in an attempt to be as objective as possible, I did continue reading this book. When I finished it, I just went back to a random chapter and started there. And I was doing this just to ensure that the comprehension and the words per minute was all done in the same book. So in my spare time, I was reading Glenn Greenwald's No Place to Hide at the end of the speed reading course. So yesterday I read Stealth War, and whenever I was practicing, I was going through Animal Farm. So wrapping things up, is this course actually worth it? Is it worth your money, and is it worth your time? Well, look, don't spend your last dollar on this course. Was it helpful? Well, yeah, you saw that my words per minute and my comprehension increased. I was able to read an entire book in one day, something that I've never done before. So in the end, is this worth $797? Is it worth $497? Is it worth, like I paid, $197? No. To be honest, it's not. You can get 80% of what you learn in this course just by looking it up on YouTube. There are plenty of different videos explaining different speed reading techniques, and all you need to know are about 20% of them, and you will have attained 80% of the knowledge in this course. Now, what I did enjoy was the fact that you can go back and do any of these lessons any amount of time. So I can log on right now and redo the entire course if I want to. I've got lifetime access on this, which is a really good feature. What's good about this is it helps develop a habit and helps you be consistent with it as well, because you're coming back every day, you're reading for 10-15 minutes at a time. It helps build the habit and build the identity of being a reader, or in this case, a quick reader. And right next to me, I've got The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, something that I've been very interested in reading. You can tell I'm probably very much into big tech and data and surveillance and that sort of stuff at the moment. But it means that when it comes to picking up big books like this, I am no longer intimidated, and I know that if I want, I can fly through it. Look, if you've got lots of money, feel free to put some money towards it. But if you're sort of struggling, if you'd rather spend it on other things, you can find other speed reading content on YouTube. It's fine. You don't have to buy this course in order to improve your reading skills. So this has been my review of Jim Kwik's speed reading course, and I hope now that you can make an informed decision as to whether this is something that you want to do. See ya.